EFL Cup final and Premier League picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time, your home for the lowest priced last minute tickets. Download the Game Time app today. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play Underdog's Pick'em for a chance to win 100x. Promo code SGPN at underdogfantasy.com for a 100% deposit match. And we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne, northeast of England. Today is Utd. I'm never wrong anymore, Baz. I think the people quite liked it when I would get this wrong, occasionally. But because I don't use my phone to record anymore, I can check the date on my phone. So those days have gone now. So if you're a fan of that, you're out to look. It's Wednesday, February the 21st, and we are here to look at the Premier League action for this weekend and the EFL Cup final. It does not seem like 12 months ago. It seems like years ago that I was preparing myself this time last year for the last of the summer wine trip to Wembley with my dad and all the other old blokes. But this time round, it's Liverpool with Chelsea, so that is on Sunday. Joining us is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Barry, how are you?
Not bad. Quite a busy week of football, hasn't it? We've had Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Lots going on. Good night last night. Not so good this evening. We shot our load early on the Champions League. Absolutely smashed the granny out of the Tuesday night slate. And we looked like we might nick a nice plus money win over Barcelona, but Napoli got back into it later on and let us down on that one. Although Callum was clearly on the draw in that one. He enjoyed it. But good week of football, really. And I had a bit of a sweat tonight, didn't I? I took Luton at 12-1.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting 1-0 up at half time, and I messaged you. I said, it's just too early. It's far too early. But, for a 12-1 bet, to get that early goal, and a bit of a sweat, because let's not forget, you back up with Bet365. At that point, all I need is a second goal. I don't even need them to hold out till 90 minutes if they can get a second goal. So, I got a bit of entertainment out of my 12-1 shot, so can't complain at that.
Well, yeah, Dave Aran Stufflecoat, issue 8, 65 pence, messaged, and they were shorter than 3-1 at one point, Luton, in play. So you backed them at, they're actually 14s on Monday when I looked at it. We put them up at 12s. So you could have had your money back and a little bit more, even though it's against company policy to hedge out. But it was a bit of a weird week. Let's say hello to everyone who's joined us first. Ryan Garcia was first in. There's some mixed emotions, I think it's fair to say. He's gone with bloody Arsenal. Harry's in laughing at Arsenal, obviously with the Chelsea badge next to his name. Wouldn't expect anything different. Riley's here. James, Mafia, evening. Callum, aforementioned. Lee, all right. How you doing? Lloydo's in as well. So when I handicap these games this afternoon, I've put for me review of the week in brackets good or great, and it just ended up good because even it fizzled out, I think, is what happened, but only really in the last 25 minutes of the slate. So Tuesday night was brilliant. We swept on Tuesday. I was pleased with I took the Brentford cards, which cashed, but it was just the fact that I didn't think Man City would batter them. So I was pleased with that I got it right, even though, because I could have made a bet and missed, but I was right in the analysis of it. And then we took the 1-1 draw of the week, which was brilliant. I think everyone in the world was on that. Everyone in the world knew that was going to be 1-1. That surprised nobody between PSV and Dortmund. And Inter Milan on the money line hit as well. So we did okay there. And then tonight, Luton are winning. And then goes both teams to score, which I had. So I'm then 4 out of 4. And then Barcelona hit the front. So at that point, I'm looking all right. And then Arsenal were shit. Napoli equalised. Actually, Napoli pressed quite hard against Barcelona in the last 15, 20 minutes. So, yeah, we did all right. It's profit. And like I say, you throw out the 1-1 in there as well. So there's plenty of money flying around. But, yeah, in the whole community, I thought, Baz, our listeners, it was quite a comfortable week. It was an enjoyable week in a couple of ways because the matches weren't the best. 4 unders in the Champions League, Baz. We'd say the Premier League, it's an overs league. It's the Champions League and unders league. Can't remember what happened.
I think we've had 7 unders out of the 8 games over the 2 weeks.
Okay, now there you go.
And someone pointed out in the Discord earlier, I think first half unders hit in every single game as well. So definitely a low scoring week for the Champions League.
7 out of 8. I'd actually written down
in handicapping them. I did point out the fact I said 3 of the 4 last week were under. And it's this first leg thing. No one wants to lose it in the first leg, do they? It's a bit more cagey, potentially. It'll be interesting when we get to the second leg to see if it opens up a little bit, particularly for those teams like Bayern Munich and Arsenal who've now got to come from behind. So hopefully a bit more of an exciting second round of games.
Yeah, I put down in my notes that there was 3 draws in the Champions League as well. That was before Porto scored the 93rd minute winner against Arsenal. So although the Arsenal bet was well and truly dead by then, so I was delighted to see them get beat. But it was a good week. Like I said, you screenshotted a little part of the live YouTube last week where there was 5 or 6 people in the chat and everyone back to back was throwing out winning bets on Tuesday night. So everybody was amongst it. And then Benedict and Serial in the Discord were mentioning that it was just a really good group. You know, there was no one flexing or being a tit. So I think between us, I mean, that's the entire collective of us. I think everyone did okay. Slick Rick asking, did we miss the Liverpool as a tit portion of the show? No, not yet, Rick, but I'm sure we'll factor something in a little while. And Courtney back. Is Courtney? I tell you what, Courtney's a proper SGPN completist here because she spotted the Nighthawks cap, Baz. The old the Newcastle Nighthawks cap. Good spot, Courtney. 1 bonus point for you. I've got an algorithm update, Barry. The Twitter algorithm is updated.
What you saying now?
Suicide porn stars. That's all I get.
All right.
Just the thing. So like suicide, like blowjob McGee, it found dead in a Hollywood swimming pool or something, and then like 10 posts later, it's like deep throat O'Houlihan shot dead in the car wash. Like I don't care. Like so, yeah. My timeline isn't full of suicidal porn stars. Jim Ratcliffe's a bell end. I've decided. I didn't know anything about him until today. I've seen probably 90 seconds of his entire life on the telly. And he's fitted right into Man United, hasn't he? He's fitted right into their MO by being a complete knob. And then finally, Baz, parenting update. So it was her birthday, wasn't it? The daughter's birthday a couple of weeks ago. She had some money to spend, so she's got out and spent tonight, Baz. Now, I don't know whether I'm impressed or not with this, because basically, like, your daughters are probably the same. They've got no hobbies, have they? Like, kids don't have hobbies anymore. Sitting on your phone's your hobby. But what she's got out tonight and bought is Lego, Barry.
Hey?
But, exactly, yes, I thought the same as you. I pulled the same face. But it's not like a racing car or a spaceship or something. It's a bouquet of flowers. It's a Lego bouquet of flowers, Baz. Now, the other thing with Lego is, Baz, it's not very cheap, is it?
No,
it's a bit of a racket.
These days.
How much you estimating the Lego bouquet of flowers cost?
I'm going to say about 50 quid.
53 quid is the answer, yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
That's an expensive hobby, isn't it? To just make a fucking paper mache spaceship or make something out of the old washing up liquid bottle like we used to. No, 53
well, I've got a
quid.
Here's a funny one for you. Chloe went out, eldest one, 13 years old. She went out with her friend the other day. They just go out walking around the town and what have you, probably getting up to no good. She says to me, can kids go into places like number 16? Now, number 16 is just like a cafe through the day, bistro in an evening. Like, can kids go in there on their own without adults? I was like, yeah, as long as you're behaving. She went, can I go in there? If you want. So she come back later that day and told us she had been. And her and her friend went in and she said, I felt like a right grown up. The lady come over and said, is it a table for two? And we're like, yeah. So she took them for the table. They ordered a hot chocolate each. Had the hot chocolate. Lady's like, would you like the bill? Yeah. So brought the bill. So Chloe pays the bill, £8 for 2 hot chocolates. And she was chuffed to herself. She just said she felt really grown up. And I'm sitting there just saying, Chloe, when I was your age, we used to go down the park drinking cider. And now you're sitting drinking frappuccinos in the local bistro at 13-year-old. What is going on? It's a different world these days, Martin.
Oh, that's all right. That's cute, Baz. I like that. Cappuccinos and 50 quid Lego bouquets of flowers now, but Munaf, good evening, Eminem. How are you? Munaf's looking forward to another baseball season, dealing with me 5 nights a week. I'm sure he's very excited about that. So we're going to start. Do you want to start with the Premier League, Barry? Is this correct?
I'm fine. You can start with whatever you want, Malcolm.
Well, I think we probably should start with the cup final because it is it's the first bit of silverware of the weekend. I'm sure.
What happened, Malcolm, was I handicapped all of the Premier League, all 8 games. Got to the end, thought, boom, nailed it. Here we go. Logged into the stream and seen the title Carabao Cup final Premier League prediction show. I thought, shit, I haven't done the Carabao Cup. But I mean, I had things in my mind and I think I'd left it till last because I wanted to see how Liverpool got on tonight, seeing how the injury situation was and maybe factor that in. But I have made some quick notes and I have got an idea of where I want to go with it. So we can kick off with a cup final, Martin.
Well, I know we've got some Chelsea fans and obviously we've got some hardcore Liverpool fans like Munaf in the chat. So they'll want to know before he clears off and does something else. The game is 3 o'clock on Sunday at Wembley Stadium. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern time. Chelsea are 2-1 underdogs. The draw is 13-5 plus 260. Sorry. Yeah, 13-5 plus 260. Liverpool are 5-4 favourites plus 125. So just historically, this cup final, we've had 3 in a row have gone under 2.5. Obviously, Manchester United beat Newcastle 2-0 last year, including in those is a 0-0 draw between these two teams in 2022, which Liverpool won on penalties. And also both teams to score no in the last 3 of those as well. So we talk about it being an overs league, whether or not it's cagey because it's a cup final, or it's just a complete and utter coincidence. And this is a really interesting game to handicap, as because Liverpool look vulnerable. We touched on it briefly on Monday night, didn't we, when we chatted? Liverpool look vulnerable with players out. Now, obviously, they've got in 1-4-1 tonight, so you're saying, how vulnerable can they look? But they were a goal down after 50-odd minutes. They haven't created too much. Luton were very much still in it. And it's a home and over. Luton at the end of the day, it's nothing to get too carried away with. Where Chelsea have been very competitive against the good teams. And you've only got to go back to last Saturday night when they were 3 or 4 minutes away from turning Manchester City over. So this season, Chelsea they got a 1-1 with Liverpool, which was the first day of the season. They've had a 1-1 with City last weekend. They had a 4-4 with City earlier in the season. They've had a 2-2 with Arsenal. So Chelsea seem to be able to pick themselves up. And this squad, I know it's a new set of players, but this club have done this for years and years and years. They're unique in their ability to perform when they want to and just not bother on other occasions. Like, I've never known a football team do this because they've done it for about a generation now. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fly in the ointment handicap in this is on the 31st of January. Liverpool absolutely smashed the daylights out of Chelsea 4-1. There were some mitigating circumstances. Chelsea probably should have got the first goal of the game with the VAR penalty not given. But ultimately, Liverpool were considerably better than them on that night. So, 3 parts here, Baz. The weight of history lies in 3 parts for me. It's the history of these finals, which are unders. The history to me says unders. It's the history of Chelsea v Liverpool. If you take that 4-1 out of it, there's been tons of 0-0s. We talked about it before we handicapped them in the past. And then the history of Chelsea against these decent teams this year. 3-1-1 draws. So that's where I'm going to stay, Baz. I'm going to take the under. It is plus money as well. It's 15 to 13. Under 2.5 goals is plus 115. I'm going to take the draw. So that would be a 1-1 draw. The draw's 11 to 4 plus 275. 1-1 correct score is 6 to 1. And we're looking for a winner. Someone's going to win. So I'm going to go with Chelsea in extra time, Barry, at 14 to 1. Liverpool's legs are going to give out. They've put a lot of effort in. Chelsea have had the week off. It's going to finish 1-1. Chelsea nick it in the 112th minute. Chelsea win 2-1 in extra time, Barry.
Well, I'm pleased you've got multiple bets, because so have I. And most of them are very much along the same lines as you. I've said a few weeks ago, I think this would have been a bit more straightforward, because after that Liverpool 4-1 win, everyone was saying you might as well hand them the trophy now. And you could say, if you look at the form lines, not a huge amount has changed, because Liverpool are still beating everyone. They're still winning games by multiple goals every week, and they're still scoring 3 or 4 goals every week. Chelsea followed up that 4-1 defeat with a 4-2 defeat to Wolves a week later. But then they did have a good performance and win over Villa in the Cup. They pushed City all the way last weekend. They beat Palace in the middle of those. And I think you've just got to come back to the injury crisis for Liverpool. It was precisely why I thought they were worth taking on this week. And I liked my 12 to 1 bet. When you see the lineup, it was exactly what I said the other day. I said, all of these players are definitely out. And I'd said Núñez and Salah probably wouldn't make it. That turned out to be right. So Trent, Szoboszlai, Jota, Jones, Alisson are all likely to miss out again. I mean, Alisson wouldn't have started anyway, because they were going to start Kelleher, because he's played all of the cup games. Salah and Núñez obviously missed out tonight, might be back, might have a better chance of making it back. But if they're not fit on a Wednesday night, then, how fully fit are they ready for a full 90 minutes and potentially more there? So I think you've got to factor that in. And as I say, you look at the score tonight, 4-1, and obviously didn't matter. But I just think Chelsea might be able to capitalise on the situation better. And I looked at things like where Chelsea have got draws already this season against Man City twice, Arsenal. And again, you think of the Liverpool game, it was hugely one-sided, that game. But I think the injuries probably brings the teams a bit closer together. And let's not forget, you've talked about the history in this competition. 4 of the last 5 have hit the unders. But let's not forget these two recently saw 5 consecutive draws in head-to-head games. 4 of them were 0-0 draws, including 2 cup finals. And as I say, I think because of the Liverpool injury situation, I wanted to fade them in some sort of fashion. I thought Chelsea were a bit shorter than I expected. I expect that's probably shortened as a result of the injuries. And although that 4-1 sort of bucked the trend of draws recently, I think, as I say, the teams will be a bit closer together this weekend. So I am going for the draw. I'm taking the draw again at 13 to 5, same as you, plus 260. I'm going to take the 0-0 draw, because we've had 4 of them in the last 6 head-to-heads. 14 to 1 for a 0-0 draw, so I'll take that. And I also like the unders. My main pick here would be the unders at plus money. 4 of the last 5 cup finals have hit the under, and it's just one of those games that might book the recent trend in Premier League games where we've got goals galore. Yeah, so the picks for me, I think Chelsea, Liverpool will draw. I think 0-0 at 14 to 1's got to be worth a sprinkle, and a few people in the chat have mentioned that. And then under 2.5 goals at plus money looks like a pick as well.
Okay, so a team ride on the draw and on the under. Michael in the chat likes Conor Gallagher shot on target. Conor Gallagher does love a little dribbler from the edge of the box. He loves just like shanking one into the goalkeeper's hands from 16 yards. 5 to 4 for a shot on target and 8 to 1 for 2 shots on target. So we're going up the ladder. James Mafia is also co-signing our picks. Just while we were talking about the Discord and the little community from last week's picks, Moon I've put in the chat about like, subscribe, etc. But we're trying to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube, because it does unlock some features, which will help.
One of the main things it unlocks, Malcolm, I keep meaning to mention this. We have someone called Jello who listens. So if Jello is listening to the YouTube, this segment is for you, because after every episode, he puts in the comments a bit of a complaint that we don't have any chapters anymore. And the reason for that is YouTube changed the rules. And now your chapters, we do have chapters. They are in the description. So if you click on the description, you'll see all of the games listed. Click the game. You'll jump to that spot in the video. What YouTube won't do for us is put it in the timeline at the bottom. And they'll do that when we get to 1,000 subscribers. So 1,000 subscribers is very important. I reply to Jello every week, and he obviously doesn't see my message because the next week he'll say he's really frustrated about the lack of chapters again. So hopefully he is listening. He's persevered with us. But Jello, check the description out because we do have the chapters there. But yeah, Malcolm, you can carry on with your plea for more subscribers and more interaction.
Well, that was it, really. You've done it because I really don't know what I'm talking about. I say it unlocks loads of features, but I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm expecting, like a free sandwich or, like, I don't know, a robot chicken to come flying in. I don't know what these features are.
The other thing, Malcolm, is it's not just subscribing because, you know, lots of people have already done that. But what you can also do is comment on our posts. When there's a video finished, just put something on it. Excellent, brilliant, garbage, whatever you want.
Right.
The more people that interact and put comments on there, the thumbs up really helps because it just gets you into the algorithm a bit more and it feeds you out to more people. But the commenting, there's a few people do it all the time. Mafia's great at just commenting on every video. Rubble's another one who does it often. There will be others, and I've forgotten. But there's a few who will regularly, despite the fact they've been in here chatting, they will put something on the video, and them comments help. So just put a little comment on whenever you get a chance, whether it's on the short videos or the long videos. It all helps us. It's a little ask, and it's not much to ask. So yeah.
And we really want that robot chicken. So yeah, do it. Right, Premier League. Let's get back into the meat and potatoes of this episode. I'll tell you first about game time. Getting tickets for whatever event you want. There's loads of stuff going on at the minute. Cup final, MLB stuff. I'm looking at the MLB London series. Buying tickets shouldn't be as stressful as it is in game time. Helping sort that out. Killer deals on last minute tickets. Best price guarantee. You'll get images of your seat view. Loads of good stuff, so you don't have to plan months in advance. Game time will sort you out. The game time guarantee. Credit to you 110% of the difference if you find the tickets in the same section and row for less. So 2 taps and you're set. Tickets sent directly to your phone. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And Underdog Fantasy, a great way to play alongside your favourite fantasy players all season long. NBA, NHL, and college basketball. Simply pick higher or low on your favourite players' fantasy stats and cash in. You can win 100x with some spicy plays. Watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with our promo code PLGP. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, promo code PLGP. Okay. Premier League, they are, 8 games? Obviously, because Chelsea and Liverpool games aren't taking place. So we go straight to Saturday afternoon. There's no Saturday lunchtime game. 3 o'clock kickoffs, of which there are 4. And the first one sees Aston Villa taking on Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa are 9-17, minus 188. The draw is Burlington Bertie, 100-30, plus 333. And Nottingham Forest are at 9-2. Quite a fun game to handicap this one, Baz. There's lots going on. Villa sneaked past Fulham 2-1. Don't know if that gets them out of the woods because they were on a little slump before that. They're still sitting in 4th. And they've lost 2 in a row at home, Baz. So they lost at Newcastle and were actually quite poor. Newcastle outplayed them. And then they did lose at home to Manchester United 2-1 in the last home game. But I thought they were unlucky that day. I thought they were better than Man United. They certainly had the edge on the XG. It was 2.46, played 1.88. So there were 3/4 of a goal better than Man United on XG. The form's all over the place. Drawn, lost, won. Drawn, lost, won. Lost, won. So it's hard to pin Aston Villa down for a money line play, even if you wanted to. 6 of their last 7 have gone over 2.5. One of those had 4 goals and 3 of them had 5 goals. So there's goals kicking around. In terms of Forest, they got a much-needed home win over West Ham last week, a game in which we picked them. Their away form's not been very good at all. 1-2, drawn 3, lost 7. Before that West Ham game, Forest had been involved, both teams to score 7 games in a row. I don't mind Forest here. I was tempted to pick them. If I could have got another point, I might have gone with Forest as a dog at 11-2. But neither team likes a clean sheet, and it is an overs league. So it's a pretty straightforward. It's the both teams to score with over 2.5 goals. 19-20, minus 105, Barry.
This is getting a little uncomfortable, this, Malcolm, because for
we done it again, man.
About 3 episodes in a row now, we've been right in sync on lots of stuff, and here we are again. As you say, 2 teams who were both in a bit of a slump, really, both came out as winners at the weekend. And you've mentioned Aston Villa's home record well and truly broken. They've actually lost 3 in a row if you include the FA Cup defeat to Chelsea as well, where they were well beaten. Having gone for so long with a defeat before that, I think this might be a good opportunity for them to bounce back here. But I wasn't confident enough to take them to win, and I think they're a little bit short. Forest got the win, obviously, at the weekend, but West Ham are a shambles at the minute, and Forest are a better side at home. So I didn't like either of them on the money line. Couldn't make a pick either way. And one thing that is happening regularly in Forest games is goals. They've not failed to score in a game under Nuno. And Villa concede often enough. 7 of the last 9 Villa games have gone both teams to score. 7 of the last 8 Forest games have gone both to score. So yeah, I think Villa will possibly win this, maybe 2-1, 3-1. But like you, I've gone for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals to get us to even money. I don't know what price you mentioned, but I thought I'd seen evens earlier. So yeah, I'll take the same pick, both to score and over 2.5 goals at evens. I think Villa will probably win it 2-1 or 3-1 here.
I don't know if you just noticed, Baz, but I just pressed the button that made our faces go massive for about 10 seconds then. That's the last thing anybody wants. So I think I've disturbed Michael, sorry. I hope Moonap's gone because he doesn't like it when I fuck things up. Next up is Brighton and Hove Albion, who will take on Everton Saturday at 3 o'clock. Brighton is 5-6, minus 120. The draw is 11-4, plus 275. Everton at 3-1, Barry.
Yeah, this one was more straightforward for me. I think Brighton look an all right price at 5-6 at home against an Everton side who haven't won a game since before Christmas. I mean, Everton fans, I was listening to the radio after the game on Monday, and Everton fans seemed quite buoyed by their 1-1 draw on Monday against Palace. And I think it's one of them things where it's the way the game pans out, doesn't it? If you come back late on and equalise against someone, you come away thinking, take that. Whereas if Everton had took a lead and then Palace had came back and equalised, they'd have been furious. But it's funny how a late goal can sort of put a bit more of a positive spin on things. The top and bottom of it was that was a home game to Palace. And for large parts of it, never looked like they were going to score. Once they got the goal and equalised, they probably looked most likely to get the winner, but they didn't do so. I think Brighton will pose more of a challenge. And in fairness, Brighton haven't been great lately. The only teams they have beaten is strugglers like Palace, Sheff United. But they've done so convincingly. They had a 5-0 over Sheff United, albeit with a red card helping them out a bit. 4-1 over Palace. And they've scored 4 or more goals in 5 of their last 10 games now. Everton have had a lot of draws lately, 4 in the last 5 games, but they've also gone winless in 8. So 4 losses, 4 draws in the last 8 games. And I don't know. I can't get to Everton at the moment until you see some significant improvement. And I think Brighton at close to even money just looks okay. So give me Brighton here to beat Everton at 5-6.
Yes, Baz, we've done it again. There's 2 games on this slate that feel like a trap. And they're back-to-back here. This is the first one because on the face of it, I agree with absolutely everything you just said. And it is my pick. My pick is Brighton to win on the money line. 5-6, minus 120. Brighton are better than Everton. Brighton will score more goals than Everton. They beat Palace 4-1 in the last home game, which is a decent comp. They scored 5 at Sheffield United. Everton haven't won since December the 16th. And at this point, I have no idea how they put together that 4-game winning run before December the 16th, because that performance we watched the other day, they can't win a single game, let alone 4 in a row. And the goal they did score was another. I'm not counting that one either. You know, the team against Tottenham, they don't count. I'm not having this one. It's the same goal. It didn't even. It's absolutely bollocks. So I'm not having that. But here's the trap part of it: is that we said at the start of the season we want to fade Brighton in various spots, don't we? And this is one of the spots where where I think we would have faded Brighton. Probably our dislike of Everton, Baz, might be clouding our judgment a little bit here. Didn't Everton won here? Was it 5-0 last year as well?
Yeah, they duffed them up. I had that's where I cashed a massive one on Dwight McNeil.
You did, yeah.
Dwight McNeil total goals and shots on goal and everything. I had Dwight McNeil for a hat trick. They won 5-1, didn't they? McNeil got a couple. I think I had him for 2 or more goals at something stupid like 100-1. It was a ridiculous price.
And I was watching a little bit of the goals on Sky last night. Paul Merson was talking. Now, he's never knowingly said anything sensible in his life, but he did say, like, at the minute, can you see Sheffield United or Burnley popping up with a surprise win? And you can't. You just can't see it. Can you see Everton popping up with a win somewhere? The answer is yes, because we've seen it a lot, especially at the arse end of the last 3 seasons when they need it. So it just feels like an absolute trap. All of that being said, I'm taking Brighton at 5-6. Sean Dyche has dug a hole, covered it with twigs and leaves, and I'm going to happily walk along and fall right into it. So at Brighton 5-6 minus 120. The second trap game, immediately below it on the card, is another 3 o'clock kickoff between Crystal Palace and Burnley, where Crystal Palace are 19-20 minus 105. The draw is 5-2 plus 250, and Burnley are 14-5 plus 280. So Palace played okay against Everton, and they've beaten Sheffield United and Brentford at home recently. And you get the new manager bounce now. Maybe I still don't know his first name. We called him all sorts of German stereotypes the other night. Is it Philip Glasner?
Oliver, I think. Was it Oliver Glasner?
Oliver.
I think so.
Anyway, you get the new manager bounce as well. And we've said a few times, this is the type of game that Crystal Palace use to survive. This is their crutch. They'll beat shit teams at home. I think Burnley have got to be close to giving up at this point. Lee, the Burnley fan, is saying Palace all day. I don't know what they're fucking even attempting at this point, Burnley. Like, they're getting into training on a Monday. All right, boss, what should we do this week? Because we've got battered at the weekend. Same again? Yeah, let's do the same again. All right, then. Let's do it 28 weeks running and get battered every week. Just try something else. Fucking idiots. Palace 19-20, minus 105 pass. Sorry.
I think we've got our Burnley fan Lee in the chat, and he said Palace all day as well. So I think he's probably in agreement with you. I haven't taken Palace. Much like Mafia, I just didn't know who to go for here. It doesn't look like a classic. Palace with 2 wins in the last 14 league games, 8 defeats in that run. And Burnley with just 2 wins in 18 league games. Both of them, you look at the teams they beat, both beat Sheffield United. Fair enough. Palace beat Brentford, Burnley beat Fulham. So neither of them have got any particularly great scalps, to their name. And for that reason, it's really hard to know what to do. It's hard to make a strong case for either of them. So, sometimes in these cases you can't pick a winner. You look and think, should I just go for the underdog, Burnley here? And I just can't. I can't. Do I go down the middle and take a draw? That just feels like I'm just taking a punt at anything for the sake of it. So I've decided to do neither. I've went for goals here, Malcolm. Over 2.5 goals. And it might sound a bit like this is going to be an absolute stinker. But over 2.5 goals is plus money. And 5 of the last 6 games for both of these teams have gone over 2.5 goals. Now, granted, most of them goals they're coming from their opponents. But at plus money in a league that's full of goals at the moment, I just think it looks the best play here for me. So a pick for me, Palace v Burnley, is over 2.5 goals at 11-10, plus 110.
Yeah, fair enough. Michael's chucking out. I nearly said Andre, are you? Jordan, are you? Anytime goal scorer. He scored on Monday, Michael, which means he won't score for 3 more years. That's him done. And James is asking about the 2 good Crystal Palace players when they're due back. Michael Elise is ruled out. Eberici Eze is ruled out. So, yeah, that's the end of that. They don't get their good players back. And it doesn't matter. Like I say, this is their meat and drink. Absolutely. This is Crystal Palace's meat and drink. And I think they'll get the dub, Baz. The final 3 o'clock is Manchester United take on Fulham. Man United are 4-7, minus 175. The draw is 16-5, plus 320. And Fulham are at 19-4, plus 475, Barry.
Right, where are we? Man United. Yeah, I'm still very much in fade mode when it comes to Man United. Even with 5 wins in a row, even 7 games unbeaten, I've just yet to really see them playing well. I think they've rode their luck a lot, and you know, Man United fans won't care about that. Scraped their way through a few games recently, but I still think 4-7 here is too short. The problem is it's hard to make a case for Fulham either, because they've got just 1 win in 8 in all competitions now. So I've went a little bit rogue here. I've gone back to corners. You'll remember we had a Fulham corner ladder a few weeks ago where we got right the way to the very top. So Fulham were the golden boys for corners. They had 3 consecutive double-figure hauls. We got right up on the ladder with them, and then we pivoted when they played Bournemouth. I went for match goal corners, and Fulham hit only 1, but Bournemouth got 13, so we got up the ladder again. But moving away from Fulham, Man United have looked all right lately. They average 12 corners per game, match corners, that is, not them themselves. But the last 3 games have seen 14, 18 and 13 corners. Man United have seen 13 or more corners in half of their last 14 games. 13 or more, that is. And we don't need 13 or more, we only need 12. They've saw a few games this season go over 20 corners. So we can get the match total corners here over 11.5 at a plus money price 11-10. I think that's a good place to start. So the pick for me, Man United Fulham, is over 11.5 corners at 11-10. And then we're going to have a little bit of ladder fun, obviously, when it comes to corners. We love a ladder. I'm going to jump 2 steps. So the next rung on the ladder is going to be over 13.5 at 11-4. Another 2 steps up, over 15.5 corners is 6-1. And then we'll go up in smaller steps. Over 16.5, 10-1. 17.5, 14-1. And over 18.5 corners, 18-1. Bosh. Get up the ladder.
Bosh indeed, Baz, get up the ladder. I mean, yeah, Man United are right in the zone that they like being in, which is scraping wins against bad teams, and they're capable of doing it. They've done it a lot. You've just talked about it. 4 in a row, all 4 unconvincing. Well, they've scored 11 goals doing it, so they've been amongst the goals. Fulham are doing nothing to inspire anything. They will get the 9 more points that they need, but I don't think they'll get any of them on Saturday. I had handicapped Man United against West Ham 2 weeks ago, but took Man United on the handicap. They weren't very good. The Oppo weren't very good. Man U won 3-0. I'll take exactly the same bet. Same result. It's boring. I'm not going to enjoy it. But Man U on the handicap are a good price, you know. They'll win this 2 or 3-0. 11-8 plus 138. Next up is tea time on Saturday. Bournemouth taking on Manchester City. Bournemouth are 6-1. The draw is 7-2 plus 350, and Manchester City are 11-25 minus 227. So we'll start with Bournemouth. They were good at Newcastle last week. They got pegged back right at the death, so they've still got no win in 6, and they've only won 3 of 11 home games. Loads of goals involved with Bournemouth, but it's hard. You don't want to take them as an underdog at 6-1. As I said earlier, I'm delighted I didn't get involved in in the City stuff against Brentford this week, yesterday, Tuesday night, in terms of handicap, totals, etc. Because they're just not battering teams like. So, again, I don't want anything to do with the City side of things, which has led me into some stats, Baz. So I'm going to try and keep this brief because you've just listed a whole load of corner numbers. And if I do the same, it's going to bore people's very face off. But City did have 10 corners against Brentford. They had 12 against Chelsea. They had 9 with Everton. And you've been on the Bournemouth corners recently, Baz. You tipped me off. Now, we will have to ignore a total of 6 in the Newcastle game last week. Newcastle had 4, Bournemouth had 2. So we put a line through that. Bournemouth had 13 at Fulham. And there was a game total of 17 against Nottingham Forest. So, same bets as you just threw out, Baz, for Man United Fulham. The total here is 11, and it's juiced to the over. 6-5 plus 120 for over 11 corners. Now, I'll go all the way up the ladder to... I got to over 15, it's 7-1, Baz. So all the steps in between. From 11, it's 6-5 to 15 corners, it's 7-1. Don't want anything to do with either two sides, but the corners looks like a good bet, Baz.
Well, I quite like this one, despite the little sort of slump from City in terms of, a poor result against Chelsea and then a late win against Brentford. I did find one I quite liked. So Bournemouth are going through a bit of a slump themselves. Didn't quite realise how long it had been since the last one. 6 games now without a win. Fulham scored 3 against them. Liverpool scored 4 against them. Spurs scored 3 against them. And City away from home have scored 3 or more goals in 6 of the last 7 fixtures in all competitions. They put 3 up against Newcastle, Brentford, Everton, Chelsea, Man United recently. I think they can add another to the list here. Even after a couple of dodgy results for City, I think there's enough in the form lines to take this one. City to score 3 or more at 6-5 plus 120.
Okay, we will move on to the Saturday night game after I've told you about Hall of Fame bets. Helping us win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season. It's a sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Research NBA and soccer bets with historical stats and data. Put your parlay ideas into Hall of Fame Bets Parlay Optimizer tool, and they will give you hit rates broken down by leg, expected probabilities, sorted players by hit rates, find out where the value is, etc. So stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Saturday night, 8 o'clock. This might be savage amusement if we're stopping in to watch this one, Baz. Arsenal take on Newcastle United. Arsenal are 9-25, minus 277. The draw's 4-1. Newcastle are 7-1, Baz.
Yeah, so before I opened the app on this one, I was quite certain my pick was going to be Arsenal related. I think they're obvious favourites. They should fancy themselves to win the game. Should be able to get at least a couple of goals against this Newcastle side who cannot defend at the moment. But then I really didn't expect them to be quite as short as 1-3. I didn't expect them to lose tonight and not to be able to score tonight, which is, didn't really factor into my handicap because I'd done this before the game. I mean, both teams come into this unbeaten in 5 games. Arsenal's form definitely better, though, with 5 wins compared to Newcastle with 3 wins and 2 draws. And Arsenal scored 2 or more in each of those 5 games as well. They scored a combined total of 21 goals in the 5 games prior to tonight. The shutout tonight wasn't expected, and we both took the Arsenal team total. But I just thought the prices on Arsenal were a bit short. Newcastle are... It's a bit of a sort of write-off this season. Not a write-off as such, but obviously we've struggled with injuries. Expectations are lower now than they might have been at the start of the season. We've still got all to play for, though, and we've still got a performance in us in a big game. We won the reverse fixture 1-0, a game which many Arsenal fans have only just recently forgotten about. And I'm sure a lot of those stories and conspiracy theories might resurface this weekend. I noticed Joe Dollar had mentioned on Twitter, he was asking if Bruno had sharpened his elbow ready for the weekend. Bruno, should have went off in that game, as should have it. I just think we frustrated them at the Emirates last season, 0-0. that was a game where Arteta was fuming about Newcastle's style of play and all of this lot. And Newcastle might be able to frustrate Arsenal again. They've done it a couple of times lately. In between those, there was that 2-0 victory for Arsenal at St James's Park at the end of last season. I think that was the game where you couldn't stop going on about them for weeks and about them being the best team you'd ever seen at St James's Park or something ridiculous like that. Listen, Arsenal should win this. But do I want them in a handicap? Because you can't back them at 1-3. Or certainly, it's not a pick I would put out on here at 1-3. And I'm not sure. I think if I was taking a bet on the money line, I think Newcastle offer better value at 7-1. Newcastle on the handicap, possibly, plus 1.5 at around 5-6. Earlier in the season, I might have been tempted with that because for a long period, I kept saying Arsenal weren't winning games by more than a single goal. But recently, we have seen the 5-0s, the 6-0s, and stuff like that. So I pivoted away from the main picks completely. I went for cards. I think cards could be the way to go. And it may depend on Newcastle. I think it does depend on Newcastle keeping it tight. But you look at games against Man City, where we lost, but 1-0 and 3-2, tight games. We've been able to keep it tight against Arsenal recently. The Liverpool game was an exception in terms of the big teams. Liverpool and Spurs both battered us on the road. But I think if Newcastle can keep it tight and frustrate Arsenal in the way they did in that game at the Emirates last year, where there were 9 yellow cards in that game, or the game at St James's Park earlier this year, where there were 6 yellow cards, and there should have probably been 2 red cards. So I think the cards could be the way. I think that the fallout from that game could carry over into this. There could be a bit of bad blood there. My pick here will be over 4.5 cards at evens. Neither team's games recently have been full of cards. So this is purely based on the sort of head-to-head record in recent games between the two sides. But I think 5 cards in the game at evens looks okay. So that'll be my main pick, Arsenal v Newcastle, over 4.5 cards at evens. But I'm going to take Newcastle at 7-1, as I just think it's a bit of value. And it's not heart over head. It's just simply the price pushes me there. I think Arsenal should win. More than likely will win. But play this game 7 times, Newcastle will win one of them. So I'll take the 7-1 Newcastle as well.
Mine's not heart over head either, but I am taking Newcastle at 7-1. Fucking Lego heads can have a little bit on Saturday. We're going to give him it, Baz. I like the card angle because if the players are half as agitated as I am about this game, they're just going to run out and kick shit out of everyone to see. Yeah, I'm not buying it. It's about time we got a little bit of luck. We're going to defend like badgers, Baz. Thousands and thousands of defensive badgers, and we're going to win 1-0. Anthony Gordon, so yeah. Loads of cards. Newcastle win easy. Second mention of a Lego on the show, Baz. Should be sponsored, really. If anyone from Lego headquarters is listening, get in touch. What's happening? Sunday. One game on Sunday. What we're going to do is watch a cup final, aren't we? Sunday afternoon is a lunchtime kickoff. What a belter this is. 1:30, which is 8:30, maybe Eastern time in the morning. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Sheffield United. Wolves are 9-20, minus 222. The draw is 7-2, plus 350. Sheffield United 11-2, plus 550. I don't think very often you're going to see Wolves north of 1-2 this season. This is going to be a world record for them. But they're coming off a win at Tottenham. They've won 5 out of 8, and they're playing the worst team possibly in the world in Sheffield United. So if you really wanted to, you could give Sheffield United a pass for last week because they had a man sent off after 10 minutes. However, that was just another excuse. They just get up 5-0 anyway. Doesn't matter what the situation is or who they played. That's the millionth time this year they've lost by dozens. However, Baz, they did win the last away game at Luton. I'll give them that. And it's dangerous just to take Wolves on the handicap. Wolves lost 2-0 at home to Brentford in the last home game. So I don't really want to get involved with Wolves. I thought Wolves shouldn't ever be 9-20 to beat anyone. So I'm back in the stats, Baz. And what I like this time is shots on target. Wolves at 11 v Tottenham. These are the match totals. 11 v Spurs, 11 v Brentford, 13 v Chelsea, 15 v Man United. And then Sheffield United was 11 against Brighton, 8 v Luton, 15 v Villa, 9 v Palace. The line's at 8.5, Barry. So we've only got 1-8 in there out of those last 4 games each. So that would have missed by half a shot on target once.
Hold on, shots on target. Are you sure you're looking at shots on target with them stats, Malcolm?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Shots on target, Wolves 7-5, 7-7. Oh, so you're talking match totals, yeah?
I didn't explicitly say that out loud, Barry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So yeah, 8.5.
All right.
Off you go.
Yeah. So it's all right. Don't apologise.
I thought you were suggesting
it would have missed by half once. It would have hit by half once, but it would have cleared it by 2.5 3 times. It would have cleared it by 4.5 once, and it cleared it by 6.5 twice. Obviously, Sheffield United a little bit more limited, but they'll give up plenty as well. Over 8.5 shots on target is 5-6 minus 120. If you want a little ladder, go for it. But yeah, shots on target, Baz.
Yeah, I like it. Looks good. Wolves have been a little bit hit and miss in the last few weeks, but longer term, it's 5 wins and just 2 defeats in the last 8 games. They've had good wins over Chelsea and Spurs in recent times. They did have a 2-0 defeat to Brentford in between, which is probably because I backed them to win. But they're undoubtedly in better form than Sheffield United, who, as we mentioned earlier in the week, have now conceded 5 goals on 6 occasions. You said 1,000,000 times. It's 6 times, Malcolm. Let's not exaggerate. They've got 5 defeats in the last 7 games. And those 5 defeats saw them concede 20 goals. They've actually conceded 5 goals in 3 of the last 5 games. It's literally half of their recent games has seen them score 5, if you include the FA Cup game in that. 8 of their last 10 defeats, Malcolm, have come by 2 goals or more. And I think that's a decent place for me here. I think Wolves will win, and they'll win by 2 or more. And Wolves minus 1.5 on the handicap is my pick at 5-4. So the pick is Wolves minus 1.5 on the handicap at 5-4. But I'm also going to have a little Wolves bet. Wolves to score 5 or more, like everybody else, 12-1.
Okay, so you've gone for Wolves. I didn't really want to get involved in that too much, Baz. And Bootle has joined us. Bootle, how you doing? What's he did? Lazio draw no bet. Oh, unlucky. Was that the one where they got beat off Bologna? Or was that Napoli?
Oh,
I can't remember. Anyway, Bootle's done his money for...
Lazio got duffed up off Bologna the other day.
I
know Billy on the other show put out Lazio as his pick, but on the draw no bet market, and Bologna beat them 2-1. But unless he's saying he needs Lazio at the weekend.
Okay. Final game here is on Monday night, so we'll probably have a look around this on Sunday as well when we do the show. But it's West Ham United against Brentford. West Ham 7-5 plus 140. The draw 13-5 plus 260. Brentford 17-10 plus 170. Baz.
West Ham now 7 without a win. 3 defeats in a row by a combined score of 11-0. 11-0 in the last 3 games. Home form doesn't really give them any kind of comfort either. They've got no win in the last 4 there. And Brentford have won the last 2 head-to-heads. I know they're not in great form themselves. They just look a bit more likely to get a win at the moment. They've got comparison games here, wins against Wolves and Forest recently. They've been slightly better, I'd say, since the return of Tony. We know they've got Vissa back now from the African nations as well. They had lost 5 or 6 straight games before Tony come back, and now they've sort of won 2 of the last 5. So they're definitely a little bit of an uptick in form. And as I say, I just think in current form, they look a bit more likely than West Ham. They held City to a 1-goal margin. And I just think at these prices, I'd rather be on Brentford here than West Ham. I went for a really straightforward Brentford to beat West Ham 17-10 plus 170.
Now, if you'd put a gun to me head, Baz, to pick a side, it would have been Brentford. But I just wanted a little bit of a bigger price. I don't think Brentford away from home in that form at 17-10 does much for me. I've just been laughing. I don't know if you noticed, Bob was commando crawling behind me to plug his phone in. If you wondered what that green turtle arse-shaped thing was, it was just caterpillaring along behind me. I don't want either team. West Ham are a mess. I was correct to fade them. They're shite. And we started making money on them. But just not against Brentford. They were relatively competitive against Liverpool and Manchester City without actually ever looking like they were going to get a point. Last Monday, we saw a horrible 1-1 draw between Crystal Palace and Everton. And this looks like the same. So I'm going to take the draw, Baz. Is it 13-5 plus 260? And I'm going to take the 1-1 draw, Barry, because we've just come off a good one. 13-2 plus 650. West Ham United v Brentford is the 1-1 draw of the week.
It's Malcolm's 1-1 draw of the week. Both teams scored a goal.
There you go. So 1-1 draw of the week there. And I think, Baz, we are being distracted here by this absolute menace. Go away. What's going on? Exotics. That's what's going on, Baz. What have you got? Lead us up.
It's time for the exotics. I have got a scorer to start off with. I'm going for Hwang Hee-chan for Wolves. With Cunha now out for a while, picked up an injury, he's going to be out for several weeks. Hwang Hee-chan will be the focal point up top. He's only had one game back since the Asian Cup, but he should start this weekend, be the main focal point, and he's playing Sheff United. 13-8 for an anytime scorer for Hwang Hee-chan, 5-1 first and last. Underdog pick, Newcastle at 7-1 is the value play for me. A more sensible option, I'd take Brentford as an underdog against West Ham. But Aka's, I've gone over 2.5 goals, Malcolm. I'm starting off with an over 2.5 goal treble. I've gone Palace v Burnley, Bournemouth v City, and Wolves v Sheff United. Over 2.5 goals in each of them. 3 pays 4-1. And then, as you know, I'm repeating myself. We're going to keep rolling. Over 1.5 accumulator in every game. We've only got 8 games this week. The over 1.5 accumulator has hit all 10 games for the last 2 weeks in a row. So 20 Premier League games have gone over 1.5 recently. Over 1.5, 8 games is 7-2 plus 350. So we'll play that again. And we will continue to play the over 2.5, which is getting closer every week. 8 games, over 2.5 goals, 50-1.
Okay, cheers, Buzz. Yeah, I think there's a few people started tailing the over 1.5 and the over 2.5. So it's been a bit of a team ride for everybody. So my dog nearly threw out Newcastle, but I didn't want to go for the mega mush. Brentford were an option, but I've gone for Forest, Baz. Forest at Aston Villa. Villa just been ropey, and Forest can pop up with an away when we saw them do it here on Boxing Day. Forest 9-2 plus 450. Anytime goal scorer. I'm laughing at myself because I've wrote down, and I don't know why I got this, Jean-Philippe Mateta, who couldn't hit a cow's arse with several banjos usually. I think it's the fact they're playing Burnley. Burnley aren't very keen on defending, especially the cross into the box. Mateta's big, strong boy up top. So 13-2 plus 650 and 9-4 plus 225 anytime. And I do have to jinx Kai Havertz just in case, because he's absolutely dog shit, but he will score against us unless I put him out as a pick. So Havertz, anytime goal scorer for Arsenal. I don't even know what price he is. And for my accumulator, Barry, for what it's worth, I'm going to take both the trap games, Brighton to win on the money line, Crystal Palace to win on the money line, and I need to top it up a little bit. The obvious one's Manchester United. So Brighton, Palace and Man United comes in at 9-2, which is plus 461. And that, Baz, is me done. Anything else to tell the people?
Yeah, lots of new subscribers this week. So if you have joined, thank you. Remember to give a thumbs up and keep coming back. Keep an eye out in the YouTube shorts because I am going to have a card bet, which I'll put on there a little bit later tonight. I just need to check out the odds and things, but I have got a cards double, treble, and that'll be on YouTube. I'll put a short video on a little bit later, so keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for the Saturday live. Normally go live around 11:30 on a Saturday in the build up to the 12:30 game. This week it's likely to be 2 o'clock because we've got no early game, so we'll have a little bit of a live chat leading up to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, talking Premier League, EFL, and anything else people want to get involved in. So if you can, jump in on that. Mafia saying he's going to try and get in. Well, he can have an extra couple of hours in bed now because there's no early game. We'll start a bit later. So, keep an eye out for all the stuff. Keep remembering to keep leaving reviews. Apple. We haven't done an Apple review for a while. No nice words for a while. So someone on Apple can leave us a nice review. That would be nice. Spotify, 5 stars. Dead easy. And keep subscribing, liking, reviewing, commenting. Commenting on the YouTubes. Just put a comment on at the end. Do it. That's it, Malcolm.
All right, cheers. A few people asking if I'll get involved on the live Saturdays. Just normally Nobby's football, like is Saturday early kickoff, so sort of 10, 11, 12 o'clock. So I'm normally out and about with the boy. Cheers everyone for joining. The chat was lively again, as it always is. We'll be back Sunday night as per to review the Carabao Cup final and see how the Prem weekend got on. No idea what's going on next midweek, but we'll sort that out between now and then. Thanks everyone for joining. Do everything that Barry just said, and we will see you down the road. Cheers.